Beloved chosen one. Pause for a moment. Heaven has arranged this encounter, and time itself has slowed just for you to hear these words. You did not find this message by accident. God orchestrated your scrolling, your timing, your heartbeat, because before the clock strikes midnight on January 15th, you must awaken. The hour is sacred. Every tick of the clock echoes like a heartbeat from eternity. The atmosphere around you feels different because it is different. Heaven is stirring the waters, and your name has been spoken in divine counsel. You have felt this weight, the sense that you were made for something more, that there's a reason you couldn't blend in or stay silent. That reason is being revealed now. You are not forgotten. You are not unseen. God has been whispering to you in the silence, training your spirit through storms, and shaping your heart through fire. Everything you endured was preparation, not punishment. You were being refined for this very moment, the divine intersection between calling and obedience. You may have felt weary, stretched thin by waiting, but the Spirit of God says, hold on, for your strength is about to be renewed. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, for the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. The vision has been delayed but not denied. What God promised you is still alive. The appointed time is now unfolding before your eyes. Every delay has been a divine safeguard, ensuring that when the blessing comes, you will have the maturity to carry it. Heaven does not rush destiny. Heaven perfects it. Look back at your journey. How many times did you think it was over, yet somehow you stood back up? How many times did the enemy whisper, you've missed it, but still breath filled your lungs, purpose burned in your chest, and grace surrounded you? That persistence inside you wasn't pride, it was divine DNA. You carry the bloodline of victory. Chosen one. Hear this, heaven has already voted in your favor. The battle you're fighting is not to earn victory, but to walk into it. The enemy fears your awakening because he knows that once you realize who you are, he loses power over you. Every attack was a desperate attempt to make you doubt your identity. But your spirit remembers what your pain tried to make you forget. You are chosen, marked, and unstoppable. The time has come to release hesitation. You cannot enter your next chapter dragging yesterday's fear. You must forgive where it hurts. Let go of what no longer serves your mission, and take a step forward even if your knees tremble. Heaven moves when faith moves. This word is not just for encouragement, it is for alignment. God is calling you to respond. Before the 15th of January, make your stand. Say, yes, Lord, I am ready. Speak it aloud. There is power in confession. The angels assigned to your destiny are waiting for your command of faith. You've been through the crushing. Now comes the oil. You've walked through silence. Now comes the sound of breakthrough. You've wept in secret. Now comes public restoration. The Spirit of God is shifting your atmosphere right now as you read this. Feel that warmth, that stirring. It's heaven confirming that this message is yours. Every tear you cried has been counted. Every loss you endured has been recorded. Nothing escaped the Father's attention. He's saying to you now, I have seen your endurance, and I will reward your obedience. The next chapter of your story begins the moment you believe again. Lift your head. Straighten your crown. The king has not forgotten his warrior. If this word pierced your heart and you know it was meant for you, seal it. Don't overthink, respond in faith. Let heaven see your agreement. Type the prophetic number 777 below as your declaration, a sign that you choose divine completion, divine timing, and divine obedience. And when you've done that, Share this message so that another sleeping warrior can awaken before the hour passes. Like this message so that its light travels farther. And subscribe, not out of habit, but as an act of spiritual connection, so you'll remain aligned with every word heaven sends in this season. The countdown has already begun, but fear not. You are not late, you are right on time for your divine unveiling. There is a whisper that will not leave you alone. It has followed you through sleepless nights, through the noise of your thoughts, and even through moments when you tried to drown it out with distraction. That whisper is not imagination. It is not your mind playing tricks on you. It is the quiet, relentless voice of heaven reminding you of what you were sent here to do. You have tried to silence it, haven't you? Tried to convince yourself that you were just being too emotional, too hopeful, too idealistic. Yet no matter how you run from it, the whisper keeps finding you. It shows up in random memories, in the lyrics of songs, in the sudden weight that settles over your heart when you realize you're being called again. That's the thing about divine callings. They do not fade with time. They echo until you answer. Every season of your life, even the messy ones, has been a continuation of that same whisper. When others walked away, when plans fell apart, the whisper stayed. It is the voice of purpose that refuses to die. You are not losing your mind. You are being pursued by heaven. The Spirit of God has been chasing your attention because there is something only you can do. There is a task, a message, a work, a sound, a presence that this world cannot replace. The enemy knows it, which is why he has tried to drown the whisper in noise. But every distraction fades and the whisper remains. There were moments when you begged God to make it stop, to give you peace without responsibility, comfort without calling. But you were never created for an easy path. You were built for divine impact. Your soul recognizes this truth even when your body grows weary of carrying it. You see, when God places a calling within a person, He also plants a hunger that nothing else can satisfy. You can chase success, relationships, or recognition, but they will never silence the hunger of destiny. That hunger is the evidence that your purpose is alive. The Spirit has been trying to awaken your attention again, not to condemn you, but to remind you that it's not too late. Even now, the whisper is growing louder because the time of preparation is nearing its end. Heaven is about to move through those who still have ears to hear. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verse 27, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." The whisper you hear is proof that you belong to Him. It is not judgment, it is identification. The shepherd is calling his own by name, and your spirit recognizes the sound. You have been marked by familiarity with His tone. That is why certain voices feel hollow to you, because your ears were tuned to heaven's frequency, not the world's. The whisper may not always come with thunder or lightning. Sometimes it comes with stillness, a divine interruption in your thoughts that feels too heavy to ignore. Other times, it comes as conviction, a discomfort that stirs when you are not where you're meant to be. God's voice rarely shouts, but it always pierces. You have asked Him for signs, and He has given them. The whisper itself is the sign. It is the breath of God calling you back into position. Every time you feel that pull to pray again, to write again, to forgive again, to believe again, that's Him. That's heaven refusing to let you drift away. Chosen one, your obedience in this next season does not require perfection. It requires surrender. You do not need to know every detail of the plan, you only need to follow the voice. The same whisper that led Abraham out of his homeland, that guided Moses through the wilderness, that awakened Samuel in the night, it now speaks to you. And like those before you, your response matters more than your readiness. God does not call the qualified, He qualifies the called. If you will dare to listen, if you will stop running from what your soul already knows, the whisper will become direction, and direction will become destiny. Silence everything else for a moment and listen. The whisper is not far away, it's inside you. Heaven has not abandoned you, it's waiting for your yes. You were never ordinary. You've always known it, even when you tried to hide it. There was something different about you, a depth that others could not explain, a light that seemed too bright for certain spaces. From your earliest memories, you carried a sense of otherness, like you were walking through this world but not entirely of it. That's because you weren't. You were marked from birth. Heaven placed something in you that couldn't be copied or replaced. You felt misunderstood because of it. You've been accused of being too intense, too sensitive, too deep. But what they called too much was exactly what God designed. Every tear, every heartbreak, every loss, they were chisels shaping your spirit for divine purpose. You are a vessel of revelation. The spiritual weight you've carried all these years has been the proof of your assignment, not a curse. When others fit in easily, you questioned why you couldn't. When they were satisfied with normal, you longed for more. You thought it was weakness, but it was calling. Your soul has always remembered what your mind sometimes forgot. You were never made for the crowd. You were made to stand apart, to walk by faith when others follow sight. You carry the kind of light that darkness cannot comprehend. That's why certain environments felt heavy. That's why certain people drifted away. They weren't rejecting you, they were reacting to the anointing you carry. The presence of God within you agitates what is not of Him around you. You've been fighting invisible resistance because your very existence is spiritual warfare. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. You see, your life was chosen before you had the chance to choose it. God knew what this world would need, and so He sent you. Your personality, your pain, your passion. None of it is random. Every detail has divine intention. The way you love deeply, the way you sense things others overlook, the way you cannot rest until things align with truth. That's not sensitivity. That's discernment. The reason you've been through so much isn't because you are weak, it's because you are trusted. Heaven does not invest heavily in those who have no mission. Every storm that hit you came with a secret instruction. Hold on. This is training for your throne. Chosen one, understand this: your difference is your destiny. What separates you will also elevate you. You were not made to echo the world's noise, but to carry heaven's sound. That's why you never felt settled trying to fit in. Your spirit has been trying to remember who you are. There were moments when you almost compromised your light to be accepted. You tried to shrink your brilliance so others would stay. But heaven whispered, "Stop dimming what I designed to shine." You were never meant to blend in with the background. You were meant to illuminate it. Your uniqueness is not arrogance, it's assignment. Every gift in you, your empathy, your insight, your resilience was given to build something eternal. The enemy has tried to convince you that your difference makes you unworthy, but in truth, it's your divine fingerprint. No one else carries it. No one else can. Lift your head. The world may not understand you, but heaven celebrates you. You've walked through enough darkness to know that light is not a luxury, it's your language, and the time has come for that light to speak again. This message comes to remind you you are not crazy. You are called. You are not lost. You are being refined. You are not broken. You are being rebuilt for glory. Every wound you've endured is a doorway for someone else's healing. So right here, right now, pause and let this truth sink into your spirit. You are rare, and rarity carries responsibility. The hand of God is upon you, and that means you cannot move like everyone else. You must walk with awareness, speak with purpose, and live with conviction. If these words stir something inside you, if they remind you of who you've always been, then write this below as a sign of agreement. Comment, "I am chosen." Let it not just be text, but testimony. Every time someone reads those 3 words, the atmosphere shifts. It's more than a phrase, it's a declaration that you accept your difference, your divine identity, and your purpose. Heaven moves when the chosen ones remember who they are. You are never ordinary, and you never will be. The hidden war around you has been raging long before you noticed it. The evidence is everywhere, those strange waves of heaviness that come out of nowhere, the sudden confusion that clouds your peace, the battles that seem too precise to be coincidence. You are not imagining it. You are living inside a spiritual battlefield that has been tailored to your destiny. This is not a war fought with swords or soldiers. It is a war of influence, a war for the heart. The enemy has studied your patterns, your emotions, your weaknesses, and your desires. He knows that if he can exhaust your faith, he can mute your assignment. That's why lately, the attacks have been personal. They target what matters most to you, your relationships, your mind, your focus, your sense of purpose. But the truth is, the very intensity of this war is proof of how dangerous you are to darkness. The forces of hell do not waste resources on the ordinary. The enemy invests his attention in the chosen ones because he fears what they carry. The moment you begin to awaken, you become a threat. The moment you remember who you are, his grip weakens. That's why the battles increased when you decided to heal, when you started to pray again, when you stopped running from your calling. You are stepping into territory that darkness thought it owned. There are invisible movements happening even now. Angels have been dispatched. Assignments are shifting. Demons that once mocked you are now trembling because the presence of God has increased around your life. You may not see it with your natural eyes, but in the spirit, there is lightning, divine light cutting through demonic interference. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Even in this war, you are not alone. God Himself stands beside you. There are moments when your strength seems gone, but that's when His takes over. The battle may be invisible, but the outcome is already written. You win because He already has. The cross was not a moment of defeat. It was heaven's declaration of permanent victory. Every dart the enemy throws is temporary. Every trap is fragile compared to the shield of faith surrounding you. You must remember that not every pain is punishment. Some pain is prophecy. It foretells the breakthrough on the other side. What you feel right now may be pressure, but pressure precedes release. Chosen one, you are not fighting just for yourself. Your obedience is breaking chains for generations to come. The warfare over your life is generational because your victory will be too. The enemy knows that if you stay standing, your children, your bloodline, your spiritual descendants will inherit freedom. That's why he tries so hard to make you quit. But you must not. When you pray, things move. When you worship, darkness retreats. When you speak truth, deception collapses. Heaven has equipped you with unseen weapons, peace that confuses fear, love that disarms hatred, and faith that builds bridges where walls once stood. You carry authority, not anxiety. Sometimes the greatest warfare is silence. The enemy expects you to panic, to lash out, to lose your focus. But when you remain still, you declare trust. Stillness is not passivity, it's spiritual positioning. It says, God, I believe you're working even when I cannot see it. You have endured battles that should have broken you. Yet here you are, still breathing, still believing, still chosen. That is victory. The fact that you haven't given up is evidence of divine strength working through you. Heaven measures triumph not by ease, but by endurance. Lift your perspective. The war is real, but so is the glory that will follow it. You will not remain under this pressure forever. There is a turning, a divine reversal approaching. The very area of your greatest warfare will become the field of your greatest testimony. So take courage, chosen one. Even in the chaos, heaven is organized. Even in the noise, God is speaking. Even in the battle, peace is possible. You are not surrounded by defeat, you are surrounded by divine strategy. Keep walking through the fire, it cannot consume you. Keep standing in the storm, it cannot drown you. For the one who fights for you has never lost a war, and he will not start with yours. The hour of exposure has come. Everything that was once hidden is now being revealed. Heaven is removing the veils that covered truth about you, about others, and about the season you're stepping into. You can feel it, can't you? The shift in the air, the stirring in your spirit. It's as if the light is growing stronger and you're beginning to see what you couldn't before. This is what happens when God says, enough. The things done in darkness begin to surface. The lies, the masks, the manipulation they can no longer hide in the shadows. But this exposure is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to free you. You have prayed for clarity, and God is answering that prayer, though it may not come in the way you expected. Every season of exposure feels uncomfortable because it forces you to look at truth without disguise. Sometimes it reveals the people who were never for you. Other times it exposes your own fears, pride, or pain that you've buried too deep. But remember, exposure is an act of mercy. It is God's light searching your heart to heal what has been hidden for too long. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 8, verse 17. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. This is not judgment, it's invitation. The Father is saying, I want to restore you, but I can only heal what you bring into the light. When you finally stop pretending, the healing begins. When you allow the truth to be seen, freedom follows. Chosen one. This light is not your enemy, it is your liberator. The same light that exposes wounds also reveals gold. God is showing you the strength He planted inside you long ago. He is showing you that every rejection was redirection. Every loss was making room for something greater. Right now, heaven is watching your response. Will you shrink back into fear, or will you step forward into authenticity? The ones who walk boldly in truth will become torches in this generation, voices that cannot be silenced, because they speak from the place of revelation. If these words stir something in you, let them breathe. Take a deep breath and let the light of truth reach you. You are not being punished. You are being purified. There is no shame here, only love. God exposes because He desires intimacy, not distance. And now, gently from one soul to another, I offer this reflection not as demand, but as sacred opportunity. These words you hear are more than sounds, they are sparks of light, reaching hearts across miles. To keep this light burning, to keep oil in the lamp, we need lampshade keepers, those who pour even a drop of oil to help the flame continue. If this message touched you, click like not as approval, but as a soft whisper to heaven, I see the light. Share it, like breaking a piece of bread to feed another hungry spirit wandering in the dark. Subscribe not to a channel, but to a journey. Every time you do, you're choosing to walk deeper into the stream of divine messages that keep hearts awake. And if your heart feels that sacred tug, the quiet voice saying, "Help keep this fire alive," then donate with love. Think of it as adding your drop of oil into the eternal lamp. No one asks out of need. Heaven invites out of purpose. Every contribution, no matter how small, becomes a spark that lights another candle somewhere in the world. Do it not because you must, but because you want to see light outlast darkness. Let it be your personal act of worship, your silent yes to heaven's work continuing beyond your own reach. Maybe your offering today is a seed for the message that will reach the one still crying in silence tomorrow. Maybe your kindness today becomes someone else's answered prayer. That's how God works. He multiplies love until it becomes rescue. So if this light has reached you, help it travel farther. Let your like be oil, your share be wings, your subscribe be anchor, your giving be garden soil. And know this: no matter what you choose, heaven sees your heart and it smiles. The exposure you are experiencing now is not the end of you. It is the unveiling of who you've always been. The dawn is coming, chosen one, and the light that is rising in you will not fade. The warning and the waiting has been echoing for weeks now, and your spirit can feel it. Heaven has been patient, mercifully patient, but time is shifting. There are moments when God pauses not to punish, but to prepare. You are standing in one of those pauses now. The silence you feel is not absence, it's invitation. You have sensed it, the tug that tells you to move, to act, to speak, yet something inside you hesitates. You tell yourself you're waiting for confirmation, for a sign, for a perfect moment. But the truth is, heaven has already spoken. The longer you delay, the heavier your spirit feels. It's not fear anymore, it's resistance. And resistance is the silent thief of destiny. You are not being asked to rush, you are being asked to obey. There is a difference. God is not calling you to sprint blindly. He's asking you to trust Him with the next step. The door before you will not stay open forever. Opportunity has a rhythm, and heaven's rhythm is moving now. Every time you ignore that nudge to act, the door closes a little more. That uneasy stirring in your heart, that's not anxiety, that's divine urgency. God is saying, move while my favor is still fresh upon you. You cannot stay where you are and still receive what's next. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs and chapter 27, verse 1, do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring. These words are not threats, they're gentle truth. Life is fragile, time is sacred. What if the very thing you've been postponing is the key to everything you've prayed for? What if your obedience today unlocks doors that striving never could? Heaven is not looking for perfection, heaven is waiting for yes. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is not shouting a victory cry, it's whispering, I'll go, when nothing makes sense. That whisper shakes eternity. That whisper shifts generations. Chosen one, there is a pattern to every delay. The enemy knows he cannot destroy you, so he distracts you. He makes you overthink, question, and analyze until movement becomes paralysis. But the Spirit of God says today, break the cycle. It's time to move even with trembling hands. It's time to trust that obedience will catch you where logic cannot. Every step you take in faith becomes a seed in heaven's soil. You may not see the result immediately, but the harvest will come. Every delay you break becomes a declaration that says, I will no longer live in spiritual pause. Do not let fear disguise itself as wisdom. Do not let waiting become hiding. The season for hesitation has expired. Mercy is still available. but it's asking you to move forward. You've already seen what disobedience costs. You've already tasted the bitterness of what if. But now, God gives you another chance, one more opening before the door closes for a season. Take it. This moment will not repeat itself in the same way. You are standing at the edge of newness. What comes next will require courage, but heaven will walk beside you. The delay ends when you say yes. And now, to seal your agreement with heaven, to mark your readiness in the unseen realm, comment this prophetic number below 444. This number represents divine order, alignment, and the stability of heaven's structure surrounding your steps. When you type it, you're not sending digits, you're declaring, I align myself with heaven's timing. Let your fingers become your faith. Let your obedience be seen not only in what you say, but in how you respond. Heaven records every act of alignment, no matter how small it seems. The waiting has served its purpose. The warning has been spoken, and the time to move is now. When you comment 444, you're declaring before heaven that your life is stepping into divine order. It means you are choosing alignment over confusion, faith over fear. This is not superstition, it's symbolism. 444 speaks of stability on also foundation and heaven building structure beneath your obedience. As you type 444, imagine heaven recording your response, a spiritual signature written in light. It tells the unseen realm, I am ready. I am in position. I will not delay. This is your covenant of movement, a visible act of invisible faith that draws angelic attention and divine alignment toward your path. The weight you've been carrying has been heavier than words can express. You've smiled while your spirit was trembling, held others up while you were silently collapsing, and kept walking when your feet felt too weak to take another step. People have seen your strength, but only heaven has seen your scars. Every sleepless night, every quiet tear, every I'm fine you whispered while breaking inside, none of it was wasted. God has counted each tear as prayer, on each sigh as worship. You thought the pressure was meant to crush you, but it was shaping you. You are being molded for something that requires depth, not surface. Sometimes the greatest warriors are those who never asked to fight. You didn't volunteer for this pain, but it found you. Yet even as it found you, grace found you first. Grace has been the unseen arm holding you up when the weight of disappointment tried to bury you. You've wondered why life has felt like a test that never ends. Why the people you trusted left when you needed them most. Why your heart keeps forgiving those who never apologized. But listen carefully, your compassion is not weakness. It's divine endurance. The same heart that has been wounded so deeply is also the heart heaven will use to heal others. We are reminded through the writings of David in the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Those words are not poetry, they are promise. God has not been distant, He's been near, closer than breath, even when you felt nothing. The silence you experienced wasn't abandonment, it was sacred proximity. He was not ignoring you. He was protecting you while you learned to stand again. The weight you carry has purpose. It's not a punishment, it's a prophecy. God entrusts His most delicate missions to those who can endure both beauty and pain. You are carrying a story that will one day rescue someone else. The wounds you're healing from will become maps for others who are lost. Every scar is a sentence in the language of heaven. It tells the world, I survived, and grace still lives here. There is no shame in your story, only glory waiting to unfold. The enemy tried to convince you that you were broken beyond repair, but God is showing you that the cracks in your heart let the light through. Look back at your journey. Every mountain you thought was the end became a training ground. Every valley you feared became a sanctuary. You were never walking alone, though sometimes God hid his footsteps so you could learn to trust his silence. You see, the anointing doesn't come cheap. It is born in sleepless nights, in silent endurance, in choosing to forgive even when you are still bleeding. The more you've suffered, the deeper your well of compassion has grown. You're being fashioned into a vessel that carries both truth and tenderness. There are angels assigned to your endurance angels who stand beside you even when you can't feel them. They know that your persistence is rewriting the story of your lineage. You are breaking patterns, healing wounds, and doing for others what no one did for you. That is why it feels so heavy. You are carrying more than your own life, you're carrying destiny. Heaven is not blind to your exhaustion. God sees the quiet moments when you tell him you can't go on, yet still get up anyway. He sees the invisible strength it takes to keep believing when hope feels distant. That resilience is worship. That faith, however fragile, is still power. The season of caring without understanding is ending. Soon, you will see why you had to go through what you did. You will understand why God didn't remove the weight sooner, because he was building muscle in your spirit. The same strength that pain produced will sustain the promise that's coming. So breathe, chosen one. The heaviness you feel today is not forever. The tears you cry now are watering your future. The weight you carry will soon turn into wings. And when that moment comes, you'll look back and realize the burden was never meant to break you, it was meant to build you. The pressure forged purpose. The pain produced wisdom. And the weight you carried became the proof that you were always chosen. Heaven's urgent recall has been released, and your name is written upon it. The sound of divine summoning has echoed through the corridors of your soul. You felt it as restlessness, as longing, as the quiet ache to return to something sacred that the world tried to strip away. This is not nostalgia, it is remembrance. Your spirit remembers where it came from. And heaven is calling you back to alignment. There are seasons when God whispers, and there are seasons when he commands. This is a command, not from cruelty, but from compassion. The Father is pulling his children back into position because too many have wandered into distraction, forgetting the sound of his voice. You, chosen one, are among those being recalled. You were not meant to stay lost in noise, comparison, or delay. You were born with heaven's blueprint etched into your being. And now the architect is calling his design home. The things that once fascinated you no longer satisfy. The conversations that used to thrill you now feel hollow. That's not boredom, that's awakening. Heaven is stripping away the unnecessary to reveal what is eternal. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19. This day I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live. This is what the recall is about: choice. God never forces, but he never stops inviting. The door of mercy remains open, but not forever. The recall is heaven's way of saying, come back before what you've been chasing consumes you. You have wandered long enough. The detours have taught you lessons, yes, but they were never meant to become destinations. You've seen what the world offers, and you know by now it always costs more than it promises. There's a reason nothing has fully satisfied you. It's because your soul was designed for something infinite. God is not angry with you. He's longing for you. The recall is not a threat. It's a rescue mission. The shepherd is gathering his scattered flock, and you are hearing your name in his voice again. The warmth you feel as you read this is not emotion. It's recognition. The Father's love is tracing its way back into the spaces that have grown numb, You may think you've gone too far, but distance means nothing to grace. Grace travels faster than guilt, wider than shame, and deeper than regret. There is no road too long for mercy to reach you. Even if you turned away 1,000 times, heaven would still call your name once more. Chosen one. Heaven has never stopped investing in you. Even when you thought the silence meant you'd been forgotten, angels were still guarding your steps. Even when doors closed, they were closing for your protection. Every delay was divine, every redirection a rescue. You have seen too much to return to ignorance, and you've come too far to go back now. The recall is your moment of remembrance, the sound of the trumpet in your spirit saying, return to who you are. Return to why you were sent. When the Father recalls his chosen, he does not shame them, he restores them. He wraps his arms around their weary hearts and says, it's time to come home. This home is not a place, it's a posture. It's the quiet surrender of your will to his. It's the peace that enters when you finally stop running from love. There is no condemnation in this recall. Only clarity. Only the invitation to step back into divine alignment before time pushes forward again. This is your sacred moment to remember that obedience is not a burden, it is the bridge to blessing. So listen closely. The world may keep shouting, but somewhere in the stillness, heaven is whispering your name. You are being drawn back to the center of purpose, to the simplicity of devotion, to the calm assurance that you were never forgotten. When God calls, he restores everything you thought was lost. The years that felt wasted, the dreams that died quietly, the laughter that faded, all of it is coming back, transformed, redeemed, made whole. Heaven's recall is not just about returning, it's about rising. You are not simply being called back, you are being called up. And the moment you respond, all of heaven celebrates, because one more chosen one has remembered who they truly are. The battle for your mind has always been the most strategic one. Long before anything appears in your life, it is first planted in your thoughts. That is why the enemy does not always attack your body or your possessions. He attacks your perspective. If he can twist your perception, he can trap your purpose. You have felt it, haven't you? The endless noise in your head, the voices of doubt whispering that you're not enough, the invisible weight pressing against your peace. Those aren't random thoughts, they're arrows. Every lie you've battled, you're too late, too broken, too unworthy, has been a weapon aimed at your identity. But here is the truth: you are not the sum of your fears. You are the result of divine intention. Every thought that tries to chain you is terrified of the freedom that's about to rise within you. As the apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, the second book, chapter 10, verse 5, we demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. This is your spiritual battlefield, the terrain of your mind. Heaven has given you authority over it. You are not at the mercy of your thoughts. They are at the mercy of your agreement. What you agree with determines what grows within you. When you agree with fear, it multiplies, and when you agree with faith, it expands. You have the power to silence the storm inside your head. Every thought that contradicts God's truth must bow. You are not fighting for peace. You are fighting from peace. Peace is not the absence of chaos, it's the presence of order within your soul. The enemy wants to exhaust you through overthinking. He wants to keep your mind spinning until your faith collapses under mental fatigue. But the Spirit of God whispers, "Be still and know that I am God." When you learn to rest your thoughts, heaven can speak again. Your mind is sacred ground. It's where the Word of God takes root, where visions are born, and where faith matures. Guard it like treasure. Not everything deserves access. Some conversations, some media, some environments are too costly for your peace. Protect it like you would protect your breath, for your destiny depends on it. Chosen one, you are not losing your mind. You are reclaiming it. The confusion you felt lately is not permanent. It's the last resistance before clarity breaks through. God is rewiring the pathways of your thinking, removing old lies, planting new truth. There is a reason you've been restless. Heaven is trying to give you a renewed mind. You are being transformed from within, and that transformation cannot happen without a mental shift. You are learning that not every thought deserves belief, and not every emotion deserves reaction. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't," remind your soul God already did. When fear rises, speak truth louder. You don't have to shout, you only have to believe. Power flows through agreement, not volume. The next time the enemy whispers that you're forgotten, remind him of your calling. Remind him that your mind belongs to the Creator, not to chaos. You are not at war for peace. You are standing in victory because peace already won. Every stronghold breaks when you choose truth. Every dark cloud lifts when you focus on what God has said rather than what fear suggests. The victory begins when you stop agreeing with defeat. And now, if this word resonates deep within you, if you sense the fog lifting, the clarity returning, declare it below. Let heaven see your decision and let darkness hear your defiance. Comment, "My mind's free." These 3 words are not just text, they are warfare. When you type them, you are announcing to the unseen realm that you no longer live in mental captivity. You are proclaiming ownership of your peace, authority over your thoughts, and agreement with heaven's truth. From this moment on, let no lie rent space in your mind without permission. The battle may have been fierce, but it ends with your surrender to truth, and your surrender to truth is victory. Rise, marked one. The moment has come for you to step into what heaven has been preparing all along. You may not feel ready, but readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. Every tear, every waiting season, every storm that threatened to drown you has been shaping the authority you now carry. There's something different about this moment. It feels like dawn, the quiet before the sun crests the horizon. The air itself carries anticipation. Heaven is whispering, "Stand up," because now, all of creation is waiting to see the light you've been hiding. You were not created to blend in. You were crafted to rise, like fire through darkness, like a seed that breaks the soil to greet the morning. The call on your life is not a burden. It's an invitation to move, to shine, to live boldly as heaven's representative on earth. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." That's who you are, a city of light. Your presence alone carries the fragrance of heaven. You are not waiting for your moment. You are the moment. Every room you walk into shifts because you bring divine illumination with you. You might wonder, but who am I to carry that kind of power? And heaven answers, you are the one I chose when no one was looking. Your scars are not disqualifications, they are credentials. They prove that you have survived darkness and still believe in light. Now comes the beautiful part, the rising. When God lifts you, He does not do it for display, but for impact. You are being positioned to reach those still in shadow, those who have forgotten how to hope. Your rising becomes their reminder that God still redeems, still restores, still resurrects. And as you rise, remember your light shines farther when others help carry it. You are part of something larger than yourself, a growing fire of voices, hearts, and hands keeping the flame alive. Every time you respond, every time you share, you become a keeper of that flame. If this message reaches you today, let it touch you gently. Click like not as a routine, but as a ripple, a small spark that helps this light travel farther. Think of it as adding one more star to a dark sky. Share this message with someone who needs to remember that they, too, were made to rise. When you share, it's as if you hand them a lantern and whisper, "Don't stop walking." Your share might be the light that stops someone else from giving up. Subscribe to stay close to the flow of these messages, not out of obligation, but as an act of connection, like sitting around the same fire where stories of faith and courage are spoken. Each word you receive in time will become another ember that keeps your spirit warm when the world grows cold. And if you feel that soft stirring in your chest, that desire to be part of something sacred, to pour a drop of oil into this fire, then donate if your heart leads you. Think of it not as giving something away, but as planting light. Every seed you sow becomes part of heaven's harvest. When you give, it's like adding oil to a lamp so its flame doesn't flicker out. It's the quiet act of saying, "I believe in what this light is doing." No one can command this, it must be voluntary, born of faith and love. Whether it's a small act or a large one, heaven measures not the size of your gift but the sincerity of your heart. You are helping build something eternal, not brick by brick, but heart by heart. Every like, every share, every small act of generosity extends the reach of this message farther than we can imagine. You see, light doesn't compete with darkness, it simply appears, and darkness retreats. That's what you do every time you respond. You keep the flame alive. So rise, marked one, not just upward, but inward rise into awareness, into courage, into purpose. The world is waiting to see what heaven has planted in you. And as you stand, may your light touch lives you'll never meet. May your obedience outlast your lifetime. And may every act, whether a click, a share, or a quiet offering, become a whisper that says, "Let there be light." The silence before the shift has settled like a calm mist around you. Everything appears still, yet your spirit senses movement beneath the surface. It feels strange, like the world has paused, waiting for something unseen to unfold. You may not realize it, but this is the sacred in-between, the quiet moment when heaven rearranges the pieces of your destiny before revealing the next chapter. You've prayed, you've hoped, and now it seems as though nothing is happening. But don't mistake stillness for stagnation. In the silence, God is speaking differently. When His voice quiets, His hand works deeper. The seeds He planted in your last season are germinating in the soil of waiting. Just because you cannot see them breaking through doesn't mean they're not growing. The in-between moments are holy. They test your trust, refine your patience, and teach your soul to rest even when clarity has not yet arrived. This is where faith graduates from feeling to knowing. It's easy to believe when signs are visible, but heaven asks you to believe when there is nothing left but promise. As the prophet Isaiah declared in chapter 30, verse 15, "In repentance and rest is your salvation. In quietness and trust is your strength." That is the secret of the silence. It strengthens what noise once weakened. It purifies your motives, teaching you that obedience is not about reward, but about relationship. God's quietness is not withdrawal, it's intimacy. He hides His voice sometimes so you can learn to recognize His presence without words. You are standing in divine suspense. The curtain hasn't lifted yet, but the stage is being set. Every unanswered prayer, every door that stayed closed, every pause you've endured, they are not evidence of abandonment. but preparation. Heaven doesn't rush purpose, it matures it. Think of the seasons of the earth. The seed doesn't break ground the day it's planted. It spends time underground, in darkness, where no one can see the transformation taking place. That's where you are now, beneath the surface of what others can perceive, being reshaped in ways that only God understands. There is beauty in this stillness. The world demands constant motion, but heaven values depth over speed. The silence teaches you to listen differently, to feel the rhythm of grace rather than the noise of striving. In this place, peace becomes your compass. Chosen one, your patience is not wasted. Every second of waiting is weaving purpose into your character. You may not see progress, but heaven sees endurance. And endurance is what qualifies you for the promise ahead. Do you remember the last time God went silent looking back? Didn't the silence end with a miracle? Didn't the stillness birth revelation? You are in that same divine rhythm again. What feels like nothing is the prelude to everything. Sometimes silence is the test before the unveiling. Heaven is asking, will you trust me even when you don't feel me? That is the question of maturity. Because when you can trust God without tangible evidence, your faith shifts from emotional to eternal. There will come a day soon when you'll look back at this quiet season and realize it was the most productive time of your life, not in visible results, but in invisible transformation. Your roots are going deeper so your fruit can grow higher. So breathe deeply. Let the quiet heal what chaos once bruised. Let the stillness be your teacher. Every unanswered question will soon make sense when the shift begins. The silence is not empty, it's pregnant with promise. You are standing in the space between prophecy and fulfillment, where heaven holds its breath before release. And when that release comes, it will not trickle, it will flood. Stay steady. Chosen one. The silence is not punishment. It's the sacred pause before the music begins again. The composer hasn't stopped writing. He's just fine-tuning the next movement of your song. And when he cues it to play, every note will make sense. Every delay will sound divine. When the silence breaks, it will not come as chaos but as clarity. You'll recognize the shift instantly, like light entering a dark room. What once confused you will align, and the stillness you endured will reveal itself as divine preparation. Until then, remain rooted. Trust is being strengthened in you at a depth few ever reach. The quiet is shaping discernment, patience, and courage. When movement returns, you won't rush. You'll walk with certainty, carrying peace that no noise can steal. This is the prophetic intersection, not a metaphorical one, an appointed moment. You have arrived at a crossing where time, mercy, and decision converge. Everything you've lived through until now has been leading here. You can feel the weight of it in your spirit, like the air grows thicker before a storm breaks. Heaven is leaning in. This is the space just before midnight, when the old season exhales and the new one waits to inhale. It is not dramatic on the outside, but it is monumental in the unseen. Angels are attentive. The atmosphere is alert. What you choose in moments like this does not simply affect tomorrow, it redirects trajectory. You may feel a strange mixture of pressure and peace. That is because conviction and mercy are standing together. Conviction says, do not return to what nearly destroyed you. Mercy says, the door is still open. This is not fear, it is clarity. There are moments when grace whispers. And then there are moments when grace raises its voice not in anger, but in urgency. This is one of those moments heaven is saying, decide while light is still available. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 12, verse 35. Walk while you have the light, before darkness overtakes you. This is not condemnation. This is compassion with a timestamp. God is not threatening you. He is protecting you. He knows what lies ahead if you continue drifting, delaying, or negotiating with what He already told you to leave behind. You are not being rushed into panic. You are being invited into alignment. There is a difference. Panic comes from fear. Alignment comes from truth, and truth is standing in front of you now, asking for agreement. This intersection is where many turn back not because they don't love God, but because they fear change. Change costs familiarity. It costs comfort. It costs control. But it also births freedom, and heaven is saying the cost of staying is now greater than the cost of moving forward. You may not have every answer. You may not feel brave. But courage is not the absence of fear, it is obedience in its presence. Heaven is not waiting for confidence. Heaven is waiting for consent. Chosen one. Mercy does not mean infinite delay. Mercy means opportunity. And opportunity must be received. This moment will not repeat itself in the same way. God is generous. But seasons do shift. Right now, the unseen realm is responding to decisions forming in hearts. Alignment releases acceleration. Hesitation prolongs wilderness. The difference is not talent, not worthiness, not perfection, it is response. So pause here. Let this moment seal itself into your spirit. This is not just another message, it is a marker. Something is being recorded because you are hearing this at the exact time you need to. To mark your agreement with heaven's timing, to declare that you are choosing awareness over delay and obedience over comfort, comment this prophetic number below 111. The number 111 represents spiritual awakening and alignment of thought, heart, and action. It is the moment when heaven brings clarity to confusion, when God says, "Now you see." Typing 111 is a declaration that your eyes are open, your spirit is alert, and your will is aligning with divine instruction. When you comment 111, you are signaling the unseen realm, "I recognize this moment. I am awake. I choose alignment." It marks the crossing from spiritual sleep into awareness, from drifting into decision. Heaven responds powerfully to recognition because what you recognize, you can now respond to. This is not a random number. It is a spiritual marker that says you are no longer unconscious to timing, no longer ignoring conviction, no longer postponing obedience. 111 is the sound of awakening written in agreement. Do not type it casually. Let it come from clarity. This is your moment of awareness, and awareness always precedes transformation. When you comment 111, you are making a conscious declaration that you are spiritually awake. It means you are no longer ignoring divine signals or delaying obedience. You are acknowledging heaven's timing and choosing to step into clarity, awareness, and alignment with God's instruction. Typing 111 is also a commitment of the mind. It represents unity between what you think, what you believe, and what you do. This number marks the moment your inner vision sharpens, confusion dissolves, and you intentionally agree with heaven's direction for the next season of your life. Your light terrifies darkness, even when you don't realize it's shining. This is the truth behind so many closed doors, uncomfortable rooms, and sudden withdrawals you've experienced. It was never about your personality or your flaws, it was about what you carry. Darkness recognizes authority long before people do, and it reacts instinctively to what threatens its control. You've walked into spaces where the atmosphere shifted without explanation. Conversations changed tone. People became distant, defensive, or strangely hostile. You questioned yourself. wondering what you did wrong. But the truth is simpler and deeper. Your presence disrupted what was hidden. Light does not argue with darkness, it exposes it. That is why some environments could not keep you. You weren't rejected, you were incompatible. Your spirit carries clarity, and clarity dismantles illusion. Wherever you go, things are revealed, intentions surface, masks slip. Not because you try, but because the light within you demands truth. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 3, verse 20, "Everyone who does evil hates the light, and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed." This is not about judgment, it's about nature. Darkness recoils from exposure, and you, chosen one, were designed as a bearer of illumination. That's why certain people misunderstood you. That's why peace only comes when you stop trying to dim yourself for comfort. You've spent seasons shrinking your light, softening your convictions, editing your truth so others would feel at ease. But every time you dimmed yourself, your soul felt heavier. That heaviness was not guilt, it was grief. Your spirit was grieving the parts of you that were meant to shine freely. There is a cost to carrying light. It attracts both hunger and resistance. Some will draw close because they need what you carry. Others will push away because it threatens what they're hiding. You must not confuse resistance with failure. Resistance is confirmation. The enemy does not attack what has no impact. The discomfort around you has been proof that your life matters in the unseen realm. You have been a walking disruption to cycles, lies, and generational patterns simply by choosing truth. This is why you've often felt isolated even in crowds. Light stands alone before it gathers others. Before dawn breaks, the sky looks loneliest. But that loneliness is temporary. The rising always follows. Chosen one, stop apologizing for your brightness. Stop explaining your depth to those committed to shallowness. You are not too intense, you are intentional. You are not too spiritual, you are aligned. The places that rejected you were not prepared for who you are becoming. God was removing you not in punishment, but in protection. Had you stayed, you would have had to compromise what heaven is strengthening in you now. You are entering a season where your light will no longer be questioned. It will be sought. Those who once dismissed you will wonder how you see so clearly. Those who resisted you will feel exposed by your peace, and those who are ready will be healed by your presence. Your calling is not to force light into dark rooms, but to stand faithfully until the room decides to change, or until God moves you to one that welcomes illumination. Remember, this light does not chase darkness, it stands, and in standing, it transforms everything around it. So remain steady. Let your life speak. Let your obedience shine. You were never meant to be hidden, you were meant to reveal. The darkness noticed you long before you noticed yourself. And now, heaven is calling you to stand fully in who you are, without apology, without fear, without dimming. As you step forward without dimming, you'll notice something shift within you. Confidence will no longer feel forced. It will feel settled. Peace will anchor your steps, and clarity will guard your heart. When you stop hiding your light, your path becomes unmistakably clear. There will be moments when standing bright still feels lonely. But remember, light always attracts what is meant to grow. Those aligned with truth will find you, and those afraid of it will fade. Remain faithful to who you are becoming. Your light is not fading. It is multiplying. When heaven pauses time, it does not announce itself with noise. It arrives quietly, like a held breath between heartbeats. You may feel it as a strange stillness, a suspension where plans slow and outcomes hesitate. This is not delay, it is divine interruption. God steps into the ordinary flow to ensure you see what matters before movement resumes. You've noticed it lately, the way momentum softened, how familiar rhythms lost urgency. Conversations stalled, decisions hovered. Even your own impulses seemed restrained. Heaven pressed the pause not to frustrate you, but to protect you from outrunning wisdom. In this suspended moment, clarity is forming where haste once lived. Time pauses when alignment is at stake. God cares less about speed than direction. He will interrupt success if it threatens to carry you away from purpose. He will quiet your steps so you can hear the deeper instruction beneath the surface of ambition. This pause is mercy disguised as restraint. You are being invited to notice what you overlooked while moving too fast. Subtle motives, small compromises, quiet griefs you buried to keep going. Heaven's pause brings these into gentle focus, not to accuse, but to heal. What is seen can be restored. What is named can be redeemed. The ancient words recorded in Romans, chapter 8, verse 28, still echo today. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. All things includes interruptions. It includes pauses you didn't plan and silence you didn't expect. God weaves good not only from motion but from stillness. In this moment, He is recalibrating your inner compass so that when time resumes, you move with precision, not panic. Consider how often the most meaningful decisions are made in quiet. The pause allows truth to surface without pressure. It gives your spirit space to agree with heaven rather than react to circumstance. You are learning discernment, the ability to choose well even when nothing pushes you to choose quickly. This is also where false urgency dissolves. Not everything that demands your attention deserves your agreement. Heaven pauses time to teach you the difference between what is loud and what is true. In the stillness, the voice of God becomes unmistakable, not forceful but firm. You may worry that you're falling behind while others surge ahead, but heaven's economy does not reward haste. It honors obedience. Those who wait well move farther when the way opens. The pause is preparing you to carry momentum without losing integrity. Notice what peace feels like when it's no longer chasing outcomes. Notice how your breath deepens when you stop striving. This is not stagnation. It is strengthening. Muscles grow in rest. Roots deepen in darkness. Vision sharpens when distractions fade. There is also protection in the pause. Some collisions are avoided only because God slowed you down. Some alliances dissolve only because time was interrupted. You are being spared paths that look productive but would drain your calling. Heaven is narrowing your steps to widen your impact. You might feel exposed in this stillness without the cover of busyness. That exposure is kind. It reveals where your trust truly rests. When movement stops, faith learns to stand without momentum. This is maturity, remaining steady when there is nothing to manage, fix, or prove. Soon, the pause will lift. Movement will return with a different texture, cleaner, calmer, more certain. You will recognize the green light not by urgency, but by peace. What once felt forced will feel fitting. What once required effort will flow with ease. Until then, remain present. Let the interruption do its work. Let heaven finish aligning what time could not. When God pauses time, it is because He loves you too much to let you rush past your becoming. The stillness is not empty, it is full of intention. And when the moment releases, you will move not just forward but true. When movement returns, you will not scramble. You will step forward with quiet authority, knowing the pause shaped you. What once felt uncertain will feel settled, and your actions will reflect wisdom earned in stillness. Trust the pause you survived. It refined your hearing and strengthened your discernment. As time resumes, you will walk with confidence, not haste, carrying clarity, peace, and direction that cannot be shaken by pressure or noise. The crown awaits the courageous, not the flawless, not the loudest, not the fastest, but those who were willing to lay something down in order to rise. You are standing at that moment now. This is not about recognition. It is about surrender. The kind that happens quietly, where no one applauds, yet heaven leans forward in attention. You have learned by now that crowns are not placed on heads that refuse to bow. What God is offering you in this season cannot rest on pride, control, or self-protection. It requires open hands. It requires trust. It requires you to release what once kept you safe but now keeps you small. You have felt the tension, the pull between who you've been and who you are becoming. That tension is sacred. It means promotion is near. Heaven never elevates without first inviting surrender. And surrender is not loss. It is exchange. You give what is temporary, and God gives what is eternal. As the ancient wisdom declares in the book of James, chapter 4, verse 10, "Humble yourselves before the Lord, and He will lift you up." This is the order of heaven. Down before up, yield before rise, empty before filled. The crown you are approaching is not made of gold alone. It is forged from obedience, patience, and quiet faithfulness. It carries weight, and only those shaped by humility can wear it without falling. You are not being stripped, you are being prepared. God removes what cannot go with you where you're going. Old mindsets, old fears, old versions of success that demanded too much of your soul. What remains is lighter, truer, and strong enough to carry glory without losing peace. And here is where your story gently touches others. No one rises alone. Crowns shine brighter when light is shared. What you are receiving is not meant to stop with you. It is meant to flow through you. Like a torch passed hand to hand, flame to flame, heart to heart. If these words have warmed something inside you, think of it as sitting near a fire on a cold night. To like this message is simply to lean closer to the warmth, acknowledging the glow. It's a quiet nod that says, "This helped me breathe a little deeper." To share it is to carry an ember to someone else, wrapping it carefully so it doesn't go out on the way. You don't have to preach, just place the light where another soul might need it. To comment is to speak into the fire, adding your voice to the crackle, letting others know they are not alone in the dark. Your words might become someone else's reassurance that dawn is possible. To subscribe is to choose to remain near the flame, returning when the night grows long, trusting that light will be here again when you need it. Not obligation, connection. And if your heart feels moved to go further, know this: to donate is like adding oil to the lamp. Not because the light demands it, but because love desires continuity. A lamp burns longer when many contribute a drop. No amount is weighed here, only willingness. This is never a transaction. It is participation. A gentle partnership in keeping the flame alive for those still finding their way through shadow. Whether your offering is visible or quiet, heaven sees the intention behind it. You are not pressured here. Beauty is never forced. Every response, small or large, is meaningful because it comes from freedom. The crown that awaits you is not about status. It is about stewardship. It is about carrying light without claiming ownership of the flame. And you are learning how to do that now with grace, with humility, with courage. Stand tall, but bow often. Rise, but remain teachable. The crown will come at the right moment, resting easily on a head that learned to trust God more than self. And when it does, you'll know you didn't climb to get here. You were lifted. And as you stand here now, remember this courage is not loud. It is quiet agreement with heaven when no one is watching. The crown comes not through striving, but through trust. Walk gently, give freely, love deeply. What God places upon you will remain, because it was never forced, only received. The final separation is not loud, dramatic, or obvious. It happens quietly, like a line drawn in the spirit that only heaven can see. This is the moment when paths diverge, not because God stopped loving, but because truth now demands response. Separation is not rejection. It is revelation. It shows who is willing to move forward and who chooses to remain where comfort feels safer than calling. You may notice it already. Certain conversations no longer resonate. Certain connections feel heavy, even restrictive. What once felt familiar now feels foreign. This is not arrogance, and it is not distance. It is discernment awakening. God is refining your environment to match the season you are entering. Separation always precedes acceleration. Before God moves you quickly, He moves you clearly. He removes what confuses your direction so your steps can be steady. Some people will not be able to go with you not because they are evil, but because they are assigned to a different pace, a different path, a different willingness. This is where obedience becomes costly. It would be easier to stay blended, to soften convictions, to delay decisions that create distance. But heaven is asking for clarity, not compromise. The final separation is the moment when excuses fall silent and truth becomes unavoidable. The ancient words recorded in the book of Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 15. Still speak with urgency today. If you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts. This is the dividing line. Hearing is no longer the issue, response is. Many hear truth. Few allow it to change direction. Hardened hearts are not cruel, they are cautious. They resist because surrender feels risky. But softness before God is strength, not weakness. You are being invited into a narrowing path, not smaller, purer. Fewer distractions and fewer divided loyalties, less noise, more clarity. This narrowing is not loss, it is focus. Heaven is simplifying your life so your impact can multiply. There will be grief in this separation. Let it come. Mourning what once was is part of honoring the season that carried you here. God does not ask you to pretend separation doesn't hurt. He asks you not to let pain decide for you. Some will misunderstand your distance. Others will mislabel your obedience as pride. Let them. You are no longer living for approval. You are living for alignment. When God separates, He also shields. You are being protected from cycles you prayed to escape. The final separation also happens internally. Old habits lose their appeal. Old comforts no longer satisfy. You feel unsettled, returning to patterns you once tolerated. This is the Spirit teaching you to recognize what no longer belongs. What you release here determines what you receive next. Separation is the doorway to inheritance. God does not pour new wine into old wineskins, not because He withholds, but because He preserves. He is preparing you to carry what is coming without breaking. Do not rush this moment. Let it complete its work. The clarity you gain now will spare you confusion later. The courage you practice here will anchor you when acceleration begins. Those who refuse separation will call it cruelty. Those who embrace it will call it freedom. Both will be sincere, but only one leads forward. You are not being isolated, you are being positioned. What feels like distance is actually direction. Heaven is aligning your inner compass so you can move without hesitation when the time comes. Stand steady. Let go cleanly. Trust fully. The final separation is not the end of anything good, it is the end of what could not go where God is taking you. What you carry forward from this separation will be essential, not excessive. Clarity will replace confusion, and peace will settle where resistance once lived. You will recognize that what stayed was chosen by God, not by comfort, and that realization will strengthen every step you take next. As the dust settles, you'll sense a quiet confidence forming. No rush, no regret, just certainty. You will move ahead without looking back, knowing the path before you is aligned. Separation did not diminish you, it refined you, preparing you for what only the faithful can carry. What remains will be lighter, truer, and strong enough to sustain the glory ahead. Midnight redemption does not arrive with fireworks. It comes quietly, like a breath held too long finally released. The clock does not announce the miracle, but heaven does. This is the moment when what was delayed is unlocked, when what was bound is loosed, when the weight you carried is exchanged for authority you can now bear. You have crossed something unseen, not because you were perfect, but because you stayed willing. The line between almost and fulfilled has been erased. You did not arrive here by accident, you arrived by endurance, by choosing obedience when it was lonely, by trusting God when clarity was withheld. This is the hour where heaven confirms what was whispered years ago. The promises you thought were postponed were never canceled. They were waiting for your alignment. Midnight is not an ending, it is a reset. The old day expires and a new one begins without noise or permission from the past. You may feel different, not emotional, but grounded. That is the sign. Redemption stabilizes before it celebrates. God anchors you before He accelerates you. What He releases now will not be fleeting, it will last because you are ready to steward it, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In the book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 22 through 23. Because of the Lord's great love we are not consumed, for His compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. This is what midnight brings: new mercy. Not because yesterday was perfect, but because God is faithful. The failures that once accused you no longer have jurisdiction. Mercy has spoken louder. Grace has outrun regret. What tried to define you has been overwritten. Redemption does not erase memory. It redeems meaning. The pain you endured now carries purpose. The wounds you survived now carry wisdom. What once felt like loss has become leverage in the hands of God. You are not stepping into a fantasy, you are stepping into responsibility. Redemption restores authority. You now see clearly what you once tolerated blindly. You move differently. You speak carefully. You listen deeply. This is not fear, it is maturity. Midnight redemption also brings separation from the old self, not shame release. You no longer need to defend who you were because you are becoming who you were always meant to be. God does not drag you forward, He invites you into agreement. There is a quiet joy settling over you now. Not excitement, but assurance. The kind that does not shout because it knows. This assurance is heaven's seal. It says you're here. You made it. Now walk. You will notice doors opening without force, conversations aligning without effort, provision appearing without panic. This is not luck, it is timing redeemed. When God restores time, He compresses favor. What took years to endure may take moments to manifest. Do not rush ahead, walk with reverence. Midnight redemption is powerful because it is fragile to pride. Stay close to the one who brought you here. Gratitude will guard what grace delivered. You are no longer asking if God will move. You are learning how to move with Him, and that is the shift from waiting to walking, from hoping to stewarding. Heaven is not applauding you loudly, but it is standing in agreement. Angels recognize this moment. The unseen realm acknowledges what has changed. You are marked not by perfection, but by faithfulness. The night did not defeat you, it trained you. Midnight did not consume you, it crowned you. Step forward now, not rushing, not retreating. The dawn will come, but even if it doesn't arrive immediately, you are no longer afraid of the dark. Redemption has already spoken. You answered, heaven responded, and what begins now will not be undone. Carry this moment with humility. Midnight redemption is not meant to be announced, but lived. Let your life quietly testify that God restores what time tried to steal. Walk gently, remain obedient, and allow consistency to prove what the miracle has already secured within you. Ahead of you lies a future shaped not by fear, but by trust refined in darkness. You will recognize God's hand more quickly now, His guidance more clearly. What once confused you will instruct you. Redemption has tuned your spirit to heaven's rhythm. As this journey gently comes to rest, take a moment to breathe and notice what has shifted inside you. Not everything needs to be explained for it to be real. Some changes are quiet, settling into the soul like morning light through a window. If you are still here, still listening, it means something in you recognize truth, and recognition is the beginning of transformation. What you've heard is not meant to stay contained. Words like these are like water drawn from a deep well, refreshing when received, but powerful when shared. If this message brought clarity, peace, or courage into your heart, liking it is like leaving a stone by the well, saying, "This helped me," a simple sign, but one that lets others know they're not alone in seeking. When you share this message, imagine it as lighting a small lantern and placing it along someone else's path. You may never know who finds their way because of it, but light has always traveled farther than we expect. What seems small in your hands can be life-giving in someone else's darkness. If you feel moved to comment, let it be your voice joining a quiet gathering, stories, reflections, moments of recognition woven together. Your words may become the very echo someone else needed to hear today. To subscribe is not a commitment of pressure, but of presence. It means choosing to return to this space when you need stillness, strength, or reminder. Like knowing there is a place you can come back to, where the fire is still warm. And if your heart feels drawn to donate, see it as placing a piece of wood on that fire, not because it must be done, but because you want the warmth to remain for others. Every offering, large or small, is a voluntary act of care, helping this light continue to reach those quietly searching. Thank you for walking this far. Nothing here was forced. Everything was invitation. And whatever you choose to do next, may it come from peace, not pressure.